you just give us a brief overview of what the Canton Fair is?
Absolutely. And before I do that, I'm going to do the same thing I showed you just a moment ago so everyone can see. So everyone who's selling on Amazon, that is Amazon down there out the window, 75 floors below us.
Nice.
So the Canton Fair has been going on since 1957. It's the largest export fair in the world. And it's where China showcases all of its manufacturers and suppliers. It's incredibly large. For anyone who's old enough to remember the old World's Fairs, it's about 3 times the size of a World's Fair. It is gigantic. And the amount of exhibitors they have there is so huge, they actually have to break it up into 3 phases. So the first phase is primarily electronics and large machinery. The second phase is gifts and housewares, pets, and all the things that Amazon sellers are usually interested in. The third does have textiles and apparel, so if that's what you're focused on, that would be the phase you're interested in. It also has medicines and international sellers. So we're on our trip, we're going to be focusing on the second phase because that's where, well, frankly, if you want to make money, that's where you want to be.
Nice. And you said the second phase is the
housewares, gifts,
primarily most of us sell, right?
Exactly. And it is, to be very clear, someone had measured it out and did the math. It's the size of 218 football fields with one booth next to the next booth, next to the next booth. So if you're looking for something, not only are you going to see it there, but you can go from supplier to supplier to supplier to compare. And for anyone who's never been there and they say, what's the number one bit of advice? Everyone's advice is always wear comfortable shoes. And that's because it is huge.
Wow. So let's talk about the location. It is in China, but China's kind of a big place. So
China's very big.
Where do we fly in? How does that work?
So the city it's in is called Guangzhou and is the 3rd largest city in China after Beijing and Shanghai. It's also about 2 hours train ride north of Hong Kong. So some people like to fly into Hong Kong and then take the train. Or if you're feeling particularly adventurous, there's even a ferry that goes up from Hong Kong to Guangzhou.
Nice.
Very easy. There are international flights from almost every country flying into that city.
And is there a requirement for registration and attending? Because you have to get a visa. You have to, in order to visit the country, it's not like you can just go with your passport, right? Like some countries, you have to get an invitation and a visa. So can we just talk about people who are even considering going, like even if you don't want to go with us, or even if you aren't sure if you're going to go with us or you're going to go on your own, what should you do now?
Okay, so number one, first step, US, Canada, Australia, those are all pretty straightforward. They have permissions to fly into China. But if you're coming from a different country, you may want to double check and make sure, just go online and make sure that you can fly into China. Second step is find out if you need to get a visa to go into China. And for most countries, that's a yes. So you'll have to apply for a visa. And that brings up step 3, or maybe it should have been step 1.5. In order to apply for a visa, you're going to need a business invitation. And the way to get that business invitation, there's actually 2 ways. The simplest and most straightforward is to register to attend the Canton Fair. Once you register to attend the Canton Fair, they will actually send you the invitation, and it's properly filled out with all the information that's needed for a visa. The second way, and this is just our group, if you want to go and you can't get the invitation app to work, and I'll be honest, I mean, for years, I've heard people complain about it again and again and again. If you cannot get it to work, contact me. I'll arrange for an invitation for you so you can still go get your visa. That should not be a blocking issue. Then you go get your visa, and there will be a charge for it. In the United States, you have to go to the consulate. It cannot be done through the mail. If you do not live in one of the cities where there's a consulate, like Washington, D.C., San Francisco, and there's a couple of others, then you can probably go to, just Google it. You'll see a number of services in all major cities that will take care of sending your passport to their partner agency in that city, walking it over, submitting it, and FedExing it back.
I Googled this and I saw there was one in Dallas, one in Houston. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So that's good to know that that's there. So we know what the Canton Fair is. We know where it is. We know the requirements. Why? Let's answer the biggest question. Why would I want to go? Stephen, can't I just find all these products on Alibaba? Why waste my time?
I've seen that question again and again, and I've seen so many people confidently say, oh, I can do it all from online. I can do it all from Alibaba, and I've been doing it years from this. No. Number one, everyone that tries selling on Amazon or selling to retailers and then fails will often come back and say the same thing. Everyone's selling the same product. There's too much competition. They're driving the price low. Well, the number one thing you care about when you're selling retail, whether it's Amazon or to retailers, is you need a unique product. You don't want to be competing with 300 people. The Canton Fair, that's a key to having a unique product, because you will see products that you don't see on Alibaba. Why? Number one, not every supplier is on Alibaba, particularly factories. In fact, most people who've been around for a few years will point out that Alibaba is primarily trading companies these days. That's a little scary. The second thing is, even in the trading companies, they'll usually have one person on staff who speaks English, passable English. And their job is also to update the website. So that means every 2, 3, 4 months, they'll go out there and they'll update it with more variations. So the variations you're looking at are 2, 3, 4 months old. But if you go to the Canton Fair, you're seeing the newest variations that your competitors are not aware of. And that brings up the best part of all. It's not just new variations of established products. It is new products. You and I were talking about fingerlings, and you sold fingerlings. I think you were a licensed seller, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was at the Canton Fair. The people who create fingerlings had a big basket. They were giving them out. You know, if I could have seen into the future, I would have placed an order right then. They're just giving them out. Nobody else knew about them yet. They were brand new. But obviously, people were loving them. They were running around. They were having them on their fingers. It was obvious.
Toy last year. That was the hottest toy.
Yeah, it was obvious just from how people reacted to them.
And a little company called Wowie was the one to private label that product.
They were not yet on Alibaba or any place else for you to find them. But if you're at the Canton Fair, you would have seen them, and you would have seen people's reaction. So Canton Fair, the number one reason is it's a primary way of getting products your competitors don't have.
Yes. Okay. So let's move on into really, one of the biggest questions that I get is, how do I find products to source, right? How do I find products to source for selling on Amazon? And we kind of answered that, like Canton Fair is really going to give you some awesome opportunities. But let's talk about retail in general. So Stephen, you've been selling in retail for years. You've sold all different channels. But let's just, we started this yesterday, so we'll not kind of go so far deep into it. But let's talk about what we want to bring to the table with our group when it comes to thinking about retail in a different way when you're at the Canton Fair with us.
Well, when you go to the Canton Fair, keep an open mind, because you're going to see new products that you've never seen before. You're going to see stuff your competitors are not selling. But it is even more effective if you come with doing proper preparation beforehand. And that proper preparation means identifying what niche you want to sell in, identifying some ideas of products that you want to launch. So when you go there, I'm looking for the newest mouse. I want to get a mouse that moves on its own and talks back to me or something like that. You read about it in some sort of science magazine and you want to see if they're actually doing it, or you want a mouse that plays Bluetooth music when it's sitting on your desk. If you have an idea of what you're looking for, then it's even going to be more effective. Now, this is key. There are two types of sellers on Amazon. There are those that sell commodity products. Those are the ones that are the best sellers, and you want to get a bunch of them at a low price. Go out there and try to get to the top of page one so that you can sell a whole bunch of these. And there are people doing that business model and doing it well.
Yes.
The other way is new products and unique products, or products that have been modified so that they can compete and have greater value for the customer. And there are a lot of people doing that and doing even better. So I'm a member of a number of groups. I know you're a member of a lot of groups. I'm sure people who are watching this are a member of a lot of groups. Do you really think the people who are out there who really are making a lot of money are getting the exact same products as everyone else and trying to sell them? No, they're not selling them the garlic press. They're trying to make their garlic press better. So if you prepare and identify the products, the niche that you want to be in, you want to be in kitchenware and food preparation because you love garlic presses and you're a secret chef.
It was that, we're talking about commodity products versus unique products, right? So what you want to make sure that you're doing is going to the Canton Fair with the right products ready to be picked out, an idea of what you want to get, so that you are going to be able to find that source and find that unique product and be that version of Wowie launching the fingerlings, right?
Now, and to be clear, if you're experienced, you've done this before, but you may still be challenged on finding winning products. But if you're not experienced, what you and I have talked about is we're going to teach people how to identify products that other people are not selling yet. And
Exactly.
Then when we get there, we look to source them. And at the same time, keep your eyes and ears open for other products.
Exactly. So we talked about kind of the retail side of things. What is the other thing that we want to teach people about retail and kind of packaging their products and the other potential possibilities out there? When we prepare you to source a product, we want to prepare you to be selling in multiple channels. And why is that, Stephen?
There's so much money to be made. I mean, that sounds incredibly greedy. There is a lot of money to be made in retail. Amazon is one channel, as we talked yesterday. There are catalogs. There's As Seen on TV. There are specialty stores. There are other online options.
Well, and what you said yesterday that really made a lot of sense to me is those little mom and pop shops, they're not going to buy your product at retail price from Amazon. They have a source of wholesale directories that they buy from. That's all they can buy from. So if you're not in those directories, you're missing out on all those big buyers that aren't just going to buy one product at a time, but are going to buy thousands at a time from you, right?
So here's something right now. We haven't talked about this yet, but we should definitely do it. We should set everyone up for making sure that they have products that are unique, that can sell on Amazon and other channels. And then after we come back, we'll set up a call like this. Or probably we should do it while we're in China. But I'll introduce them to the owner of one of the largest retail sites so that they can get an online retail wholesale store that they can sell to retailers from, send out emails to all those mom and pops and stuff like that. I mean, you can get thousands of retailers on one email blast. So let's make sure we follow up on that, because if we're asking people to do this, let's help them achieve that. And the bottom line is, I want everyone who attends this Canton Fair to leave knowing that it's successful. That's a very different from saying, hey, watch a bunch of videos and you're going to have your dreams come true and drive a Maserati or Lamborghini.
So that's the thing. The next thing that we're going to talk about, keeping us right on track here, is that when people, when we asked why, we polled the group a couple of weeks ago, and we said, why haven't you gone to the Canton Fair? What was your reasons? And many people don't know what it is, which we've kind of addressed. What is it and why would you want to go? But the next question is, people are like, that's scary. You're leaving your country. Yeah. You don't know, you don't have translators. You don't know where you're going. You don't know anything about this event. You don't know how to talk to suppliers, any of that. So now we're going to talk about why would we put together a trip like this to address that, right? So why would you want to go to the Canton Fair with a Beijing at home?
Okay, so a number of reasons. Number one, it is scary. I was very lucky. My first time there, I happened to sit next to a buyer from Harrods, which is a major department store in the UK. I think it's the most famous in the world. And for 2 hours, she gave me a boot camp on how to succeed at the Canton Fair. That's what we're going to be giving everyone. We're going to be talking about what to expect, how to navigate it, where to look for different items, where to eat, where to find Western bathrooms, because the bathrooms are primitive in China. They're a hole in the ground. How to talk to suppliers, what to ask them. When it comes to price, how to negotiate price and how to negotiate terms. That's one of the things that blows me away from all these online courses. No one talks about negotiating terms, but you don't have to pay 30% and then 70%. And if you're going to negotiate price, that's when you negotiate terms as well. So all of these conversations, packaging, NNN, how to make sure that they're not doing competing and disclosing against you. So all of these things are things you should know when you go in there. But I think the most exciting thing we're doing, I don't know if you've talked to people about this yet, we are going to do this ourselves. We are going to identify a product. We're going to find a supplier. And with everyone together, we are going to visit the factory, learn about the factory, negotiate prices. You're right there with us. And we're talking a real product. Everyone is going to have to sign an NDA to make sure we don't talk about this, but you're going to see us do exactly what we're training you to do. You're going to see us choose the product. You're going to see us negotiate for the product. You're going to see us make sure the packaging is done correctly, set up a schedule, set up inspections. While you're there, we're actually going to have lunch with an inspection company, lunch with a freight forwarder, a real freight forwarder, not a student who says, I can help you out. But all of these things are experiences that's going to make you leave. You're going to be at expert level.
Yeah, you're going to be so far ahead of everybody else. And that's why I'm looking forward to going, because I haven't gone. I've only sourced my own products. And of course, my main product is manufactured in the United States. So I've gone through all of that, but from a US side. So, I bring that side of experience to the table as an inventor and the intellectual property side. But China's a whole new market for me. And I have a lot of products already that are private label that are in China. And luckily I found a wonderful supplier, but I am so excited to see the huge amount of other suppliers out there, other products in my niche. I can't wait, because I'm always having new product ideas and I'm thinking, wow, what few of those am I going to see while I'm out there? And what am I going to be ready to just execute on and come home with? And then the next thing is I'm excited about pairing up with you, and we're actually going to walk people through a factory and we're going to negotiate right in front of them. I mean, it's just going to be so much fun.
It's absolutely real. It's not, I tried this and it worked and you should try it too. And all the things you don't do. I mean, be honest, I'll tell you one thing that's going to happen, and I cannot wait for it to happen, is to have a factory owner look at people face to face and say, don't tell us you're a purchasing agent for a major company and lie to us. We know that's bullshit.
I love that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to making those connections.
I have worked with a number of factories over the years, and I can say that I've developed good relationships and good friendships with most of them. It's absolutely wonderful. I love China. I love the people. I love the people I've worked with. It's really an exciting country. And
So
it's different if you've never walked into a factory before, particularly a Chinese factory. It's eye-opening. It's great.
So, basically, the bottom line is, Stephen, when they're done going through our pre-courses and we're about to talk about the whole experience and what we're going to offer, but when they're done, the bottom line is they're going to know how to actually make money, not
Yes.
how to buy some commodity product that they're going to have a race to the bottom that everybody else is selling, right? They're going to know exactly how to make money with their product, how to get their margins right, how to negotiate, how to package it, and then they're going to be able to repeat that process. And
Every time I mention online that I will not do a product for less than a 7x multiplier, I always have people saying, how is that possible? Well, it's very easy, but you have to do it the right way. So yes, we're going to teach people how to do a 7x multiplier so that you actually make profit.
And you really can't do that, with a sourcing agent on Alibaba for the most part. It's tough to go directly to that, these people that are just on Alibaba and don't necessarily represent the factory, because they're taking their cut out of it too, right?
Oh, of course, they're not doing it for free.
Yeah.
I was looking at a post early this morning. It was like 2-3 o'clock this morning because I was out dealing with some stuff from China. And there was someone who said that they did a sourcing, and by the time they got their stuff on market, there was a similar product or the same product already out there and undercutting them on price. Well, I have friends in China who said they've gone to meetups and meetings, and there's a bunch of students, and they are talking about if something costs 20 RMB, then you charge your American customer $5 and use the extra to purchase the product yourself. Let them do the research. They're paying for the product. Put it out there. If it sells, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. And the American's going to pay for the whole thing. So that's a shame, but that happens sometimes. It's completely different. I have a factory right now who is creating something for me with a mold, and you know how expensive molds are. And the first design, my fault, the engineering was wrong. Didn't work the way I wanted it to. So what the factory did?
The whole mold. You have to scrap the whole mold.
The factory went back 4 times, redid the mold on their penny.
Wow.
Because they want to work with us. And that's what happened when you work with people face to face. In fact, once we got it, they then sent off 20 samples because I had a bunch of retailers waiting for them. Again, it's not a case of saying, how much do I have to pay for these samples? They just stuck them in a box and sent it to me because they know I need them. That's what happens when you build relationships with factories.
That's amazing.
That's what's going to happen with our product that everyone else is going to see, because we will be building that relationship right in front of everyone.
Yes. Okay. So I have a comment out there, and somebody said, I'm so excited. I'm looking to book flight tickets already. Yes, that's what we want to hear. So here we go. Let's talk about our amazing itinerary. Okay. So,
all right. And I'm going to quickly point out, for anyone who looks for a recommendation on airlines, let me know by the end, because I'll recommend the best airline I've ever been on.
Okay, awesome. So, and that's, everybody wants to know how much is it going to cost, right? And we don't want to be one of those salesy people that's like, we're going to give you all these things, and then we're going to tell you how much it costs. So we're going to tell you how much it costs to go with us to the Canton Fair, but not only go with us, you're going to have months of classes ahead of time where we're going to prepare you to do your best to succeed at the Canton Fair. So we're going to talk about that. The cost to go with us is $12.95. That's what we are charging. So that is the cost to go with us. We're going to put that right out there right now. That's how much we are charging for you to come along with us on this journey. All of your training, everything included. So let's talk about what we're going to now. What are you going to be responsible for in the cost? You will be responsible for just paying for your flights and hotels. But we will arrange everything else. And we're going to talk about that in just a second here. But let's get let's talk about the overall trip and the experience. So the first thing is we are actually going to identify a product. We are going to validate the customer demand.
Validation is so important that
Yes.
it's not done by gurus other than saying, look at the numbers on this particular tool.
Yes. And we're going to show you how to do that validation. We're going to choose a supplier. We are going to attend the Canton Fair, visit the factory with you with us. We're going to negotiate a real deal right in front of you. We're going to arrange for the packaging, and we are going to start our first order. All of this is going to be prior to us attending the Canton Fair. The day that we have it so that we arrive a few days early, so that we have some night classes with you guys when we arrive, and that so that the next day before the Canton Fair starts, you're going to do a factory tour with us, because that's going to give you increased confidence to be able to go into the Canton Fair the next day and be able to go and so, oh, okay, yeah, I like that. I would be interested in maybe talking with that supplier, that kind of thing, right? So let's talk about what we're going to do before all of that, before we go to the fair. So what are we going to do to prepare?
Can I get you to pause for 1 second?
Yep.
Well, there was a really important point in there. At the fair, you're going to be talking to suppliers, factory owners. So our goal is for you to have one-on-one experience with a real factory owner in a real factory before you even step foot in the fair. Yep. So that when you start talking to these factory owners about your product, it's not the first time you've ever seen it.
Yeah, that's so key. I can't wait. I'm going to learn so much too, because I'm going through this with Steven, so I'm super excited. So the next thing, our pre-fair classes. So this is where we will have, it's private for our registered guests, the people that are coming along with us to the fair. We will have online webinars, and they will be in a private area where you guys can come live to the webinar and ask questions, which we highly recommend. But also we will have them recorded for you so that you can access them, because we know we're all in different time zones. You know, we've got that going on. So we're going to make it very friendly for you to be able to access the training. But the first thing that we're going to have a pre-fair class in is choosing a business model. So we're going to help you decide whether you're going to choose a commodity product or a unique product. Stephen, did you want to add to that, the first course about choosing a business model?
No, I just do want to say that you started breaking up a little.
The second course, we're going to talk about what does it take to put $10,000 in your pocket every month.
Yeah, that's the one that people say they take these wonderful guru courses, or they see these things on YouTube and they say, you know, be a six-figure seller. That's crap, because they're talking about sales. They're talking about making 6 figures in sales, which is around $8,000 a month in sales. No, we're talking, what does it take to put $10,000 in your pocket, your take home? What does it take? Because all the goal, this is my job. This is full-time. This is now your job full-time. And that's what we want everyone to do. We want this to be your job. This is income we're talking about. Sales doesn't matter if you're not making any money. So yeah, when we say $10,000 in your pocket, that is our goal. We're going to teach you the way to do that.
Yep. Teach you how to run your numbers, teach you how to know exactly what, Stephen's 7 times multiplier. We're going to talk about that. We're going to teach you how to prepare to replace your income, to actually make this your full-time job. That's what we're all here to do, right? So yeah, that's going to be awesome. So our next class that we're going to talk about is actually sourcing. So the next big question that I'm always getting is, how do I, not sourcing, sorry, identifying those products, those unique products. Yeah. How do I find a product with little or no competition, right? It's because we don't want to teach you the Jungle Scout model.
But yeah, you're right. Jungle Scout makes a lot of good money there. And you can make a lot of money selling courses on that. And there are a very few handful of people making money like that. But even the people who are saying use Jungle Scout are saying also try to be different. They're trying to give you 2 messages at once. So we're going to show how that really works. How do you identify this? Everyone wants a garlic press, but how do you make that then turn into a product that everyone wants to buy?
And the thing is, we're going to have a small group of people. So when we're together in this small group, we want to ensure that it's a trusted environment.
Yeah.
So when you go through this process of identifying a unique product, that you're able to share that and you're able to ask questions without fear of somebody stealing your idea or something like that. And that's why we're going to have everyone who's our registered guest sign non-competes and non-disclosures, because it's so important that we have a trusted environment where all of us can share equally. So we're going to walk through that with you, and we want you, by the time you leave for the Canton Fair, you've already identified your product, you're ready to go, right?
I'll be completely honest right now. We are in negotiation with the 2 top supermarket chains in the US. So one of the reasons for signing the NDA is when we get together in China, I want to sit down and show people what real purchase orders look like. And these purchase orders are at the size of changing your life. So that's what we want people to learn.
So yeah, we're going to talk about that too. We're going to have another whole class just on the world beyond Amazon, how and why you want to get into retailers and trading companies versus factories, all of that. So that's actually a separate course as well. Trading companies versus factories, and just kind of preparing you. So, and then our last course, so we're going to talk about the world beyond Amazon. Of course, we want you to sell on Amazon too. It's an incredibly powerful sales channel.
Absolutely.
But there's no barriers to entry there. Those other barriers, so that not only are you selling on Amazon, you're everywhere, and you're making that $10,000 at least per month in your pocket, right? If not more, we got to start somewhere, right? But and then let's talk about trading. We'll talk about trading companies versus factories, just kind of how to prepare you to get out to the Canton Fair and understand who you're talking to and what they can offer you. And then we talked about packaging already, but we're going to have a course on packaging. And then last, we're going to have a course on culture shock. So, Stephen, do you want to talk a little bit about that? That's going to be the last class before we leave for Canton.
Yes, and again, it's scary. There are signs in English, but other than someone perhaps at the check-in desk at the hotel, and maybe definitely someone at each booth at the Canton Fair, you're not going to run into other people that speak English unless they're foreigners like you. So, number one thing we're going to do, when you get off the airplane and you go through customs and you step out into this new country, we will make sure that there is someone waiting there with your name on a sign to pick you up in a car and get you to the hotel, so you do not have to worry about how do you get around. In this little culture shock thing, we're going to talk about, I mentioned before, bathrooms are very different in China. Food, chopsticks, money, tipping, how to get around. And frankly, what are the other things in China you want to do while you're there? I encourage everyone, attend everything with us and then stay another few days and enjoy China. Shanghai is incredible. It's my favorite city in the world. Beijing is so full of history. There's history in Guangzhou. One of the things we're going to do is we'll be taking everyone on a little tour that goes up and down the Pearl River, so you can see all the buildings lit up at night. I've tried to post a few pictures into the group. I'll post a few pictures of the Great Wall of China and Shanghai, particularly the waterfront at night. It's definitely a city. Both cities are definitely there to enjoy, so try to do that as well. I'll tell you right now, I will be going there probably a day or two early and landing in Shanghai, because all of my jackets, my shirts, everything are all custom tailored for a few dollars. I mean, if you've never had a bespoke suit in your life, treat yourself to that. It is a great place.
In Korea, I had like custom tailored clothes made in Korea, and they're really nice and it's very affordable. I bought some big paintings too. Like, there's some cool things you can buy over there. Yeah.
I went to a wedding a couple of months ago, and I had a tuxedo that was completely custom made. It's great. I mean, particularly for someone who's a little heavy like me, they measure you, everything about you. So China, culture shock, getting around, the language, some basic phrases to know. We're going to cover all of that so that when you land in China, you don't have to worry. You don't have to be concerned. You will be prepared. You will be picked up. We will take care of you. We will transport you from the hotel to the fair. We will make sure there's a translator in our group. If you want to go off by yourself, we'll make sure you know how to get translators with you. If you want to do that, if you feel adventurous, don't have to do that. We'll show you where to find the Western food if you need to, and so on. So,
okay.
All of that.
We have 10 minutes. We got to wrap up our last part where we're going to talk about what we're actually going to do when we get there. So we're going to go during phase 2,
right,
which is housewares, gifts, consumer items, and pets. And the first thing we're going to do when we get there that night, we are going to reveal our product to you. We're going to meet in the hotel and we're going to reveal our product. We will provide dinner for you. And we will give a little class to kind of get you factory visit the next day, right?
I'm going to have you repeat that because you broke up at this end, so I don't know if that's going to be heard or not.
Okay.
But when we get there, we will have a class so that you can be prepared for the factory visit. You'll know what to expect, the questions to ask, and so on.
And so, Stephen, I'll let you talk about what we're going to do, our lunch and learns, and what we're going to do for attending the fair.
Okay, so the first night will be prep for the factory. The second night is going to be prep for the fair. When we get to the fair, unless you've attended before, you don't yet have a badge or registration. We're going to try to arrange registration at the hotel, but no guarantee on that yet. So we will go first. This is not going to make any sense yet, but we'll be dropped off at Building B, the B complex. You will go through registration. I will be there with you. We will make sure you know what lines to get into. Get your picture taken. You get your badge. By the way, hold on to that badge. You will use it every fair from now until eternity. We will get you set up, and we'll start off with a basic tour of the Canton Fair so that you can see where complex A, B, and C are. You'll know where to go for your particular niche. You can follow us around as a group as we see some interesting products and start talking to suppliers. You'll see the conversations and so on. And once you're ready to go on your own, you're also able to go off on your own. We'll be joining up each day at lunch, and each day at lunch, we will have our own separate room, and we'll have someone come and join us. We'll have a freight forwarder from a real freight company, a real inspection company, trying to make a decision. It's going to be a toss-up, where we squeeze in a sourcing agent and where we squeeze in an attorney. But we think those are important people to learn from as well. The evenings, there are often networking events in the evenings. We're going to squeeze in a tour of Guangzhou one evening along the river, the Pearl River. It's a great city. I love the city. And then we're going to continue each day as you build up your confidence. You'll probably be leaving the group and continuing around on your own. But Amy and myself, probably at this point more myself, will be there for any help. So you just let us know, and I'll come back and help you work with whatever suppliers you have. Now, after all this, there is another place in China that you may have heard of that we will be visiting as well as an add-on, and that's Yiwu.
Yes.
So earlier we talked about two different business models. Commodity products, those are the ones we look for best sellers, or the new unique products. Yiwu is the world's largest commodity product marketplace. And it's about a 2-hour plane ride from Guangzhou. So we will have an add-on option where we will go to Yiwu, and you go through stall after stall after stall of everything from, Christmas lights to coasters on the bottom of chairs to glassware, to cell phone chargers, and so on. And you've heard people talk about Yiwu. That's definitely what we'll be including. So I'm trying to watch the time because I do want to make sure that before we finish, we talk about some of the alternatives to Canton Fair.
And with the Yiwu add-on, if you decide to do the Yiwu add-on, that adds just a few days. And as Stephen mentioned, you may want to do some tours in China on your own because you're all the way out there. So you may want to take some additional time and go do some touring on your own as long as you're there on your visa, getting to visit, right? So that is that. And we covered, let's talk about what are we going to cover? So we're going to cover 3 paid lunches during the factory visits and the lunch and learn sessions. We are going to cover the 3 paid dinners during our evening courses. And we are going to host a Pearl River cruise, like Stephen was talking about, the tour at night. We will cover transportation to and from the factory for the factory tour. And now, what are we not including in all of this? We are not, and we're also including the before the trip courses that we're going to be doing together, right, in the private group. So when we get there, we'll cover, all of the lunch and learns and some of the dinners that we're going to be sponsoring. We'll provide recommendations. Obviously, we want everyone in the same hotel, hopefully, or close by. We'll provide recommendations for hotels and flights. But we are not covering flights to and from your home to China. We are not covering the actual cost of hotels. And we are not covering any additional meal costs or some sightseeing tours, anything else that you want to do on your own. We will not be covering that. But is there anything else that I forgot, Stephen?
We are covering getting you from the airport to the hotel and back again. And as we're talking, I realized we said 3 lunches. It's actually going to be 4 lunches we cover because it's the factory and then 3 lunch and learns.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So I will fix that. So, and then the optional trip to the Yiwu, if you decide to take that with us, we won't be covering the flights, but we'll, be covering the lunch and stuff there to kind of get, and of course, helping you tour that area and everything, should you decide to do that with us. So now the big question everybody wants to know is, how do you get signed up to come with us, right? I know everybody wants to know that, of course. So what you can do is you can go to amazingathome.com and you can see right in my menu at the top of my page, I've got the Canton Fair experience. You click there and you can read the whole itinerary, all of the information, and get registered right there. So in the beginning, we're just asking you to fill out a form and tell us a little bit about yourself and your interests. And then from there, we'll be providing over the next few months, especially over the next month, instructions on how to get registered, payment dates, when you'll have to have your payment in by, and then, of course, the course dates. We'll be inviting you into that private group so that you can view all of the webinars and videos ahead of time. And then as well, like all of your transportation and everything, we'll be working very closely as a group. Anything else, Stephen, that you want to add on to that?
Yeah, when we said at the beginning, our goal is to make sure that everyone who goes ends up being successful. And I want to add a second goal onto this. I want to make sure that everyone goes. China can be scary. Another country can be scary. So we want to make sure that you don't get scared. We'll hold your hand. We'll make sure you can do all of that. It's once you do it once, it'll be easy the next time. But we'll be there for the first time.
Yeah, it's going to be the experience of a lifetime. I can't wait to see so many people that are going to come with us on this ride, and the success of their products, the success of their businesses, hopefully, helping them to live out that dream of being able to leave that day job, teaching them the right way. I get kind of worn out of the Jungle Scout stories. As a business consultant, it's tough. It's tough to see people selling these products and having such a tough time and losing their hard-earned money that they've saved up for a long time. So I'm looking forward.
You want a scary analysis? Okay. At any time, there's close to 500,000 people trying out selling on Amazon. And most of them have been told to use Jungle Scout and the other tools, and forgive me for not knowing them, because I don't use them. That's your expertise. But when you think about it, there's 500,000 people looking at the same finite set of data, and that same analysis. So of course, by the time something's hot, everyone else is going to be jumping on it. The numbers are not in your favor. And I've had people who send me, direct messages asking me about how do you launch and fight competition. And it's always awkward. I explain to them, I don't have to worry about that because I don't have competition. I'm the only person in the buy box.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're the only person in the buy box, but you're also selling a unique product that
Yeah, for
others
me,
aren't
that's my business model.
competing with. So.
But I do know there are people who succeed very well in the commodity model. And whether you're doing the commodity or the unique model, unique business model, unique product business model, whether you've done this before or this is your first time, if this is your first time going to the Canton Fair, or if you have gone before and it hasn't been successful, we want to help because it completely changed my life. I can tell you that.
All right. Well, you guys, you heard it from Stephen. You heard it from me. We're so excited for you to join us. We will a little bit of limited space, right? We can't obviously take a group of 300 people.
No.
There's only two of us.
It's going to be a small group. It's going to be a small group because we want to give everyone personal information. We're having everyone sign an NDA, so when we sit down and we go there, we can actually, sit down in the evenings and say, "Hey, I looked for this and I couldn't find it," and someone else will say, "Yeah, I saw it over on, the third floor of Building C," and you go out and
have that nice tight knit group, and especially for the factory tour and stuff too. We don't want to have 300 people. But anyway, so we're going to limit the space. The cost is $12.95, as I said, and just go to amazingathome.com to get registered. And again, that's just to lock in your spot for your interest, right? We'll be sending out more information about when payments are due and how to make your reservations and all of that. So I hope to see lots of registrations, and I hope to really just have this experience of a lifetime with you guys. I can't wait.
Absolutely.
Something to remember.
We are not going to teach you how to eat. We're going to teach you how to hunt.